If you are authentic and if you are passionate and if you show up vulnerability and you are willing to talk about your career, others will be inspired, and then the climate will change, the culture will change within an organization. The people that are not jumping on this podcast or any other podcast are the people that will be harder to reach, and they are lacking the curiosity, they are lacking the eagerness to learn. You're all leaders, you're all coaches, you're all mentors. Just find that little piece that has not yet been activated within yourself.
Welcome to the Revenue Discussion Podcast. This podcast aims to inspire and educate the newest generation of revenue leaders on various subjects related to sales, marketing, revenue operations, and customer success. Every week, we invite an inspirational guest who is willing to share his or her insights, strategies, and tactics that has worked or is still working for him or her. Today, we invited Carmina Coenen to the show. Carmina is one of the most inspirational and influential voices at Salesforce. I think the keywords of this episode would be, be a role model, the importance of values in the workplace, the relevancy of a growing mindset, be a value-driven leader, and never stop learning. I believe you won't be disappointed by this episode. I hope you enjoy it. Hey, good morning, Carmina. Welcome to the show. How you doing?
I'm doing very fine, Dylan, and thank you for having me on this show.
It is a pleasure. Well, thank you for making time for the show, of course. Now, in this podcast, Martin and I are thrilled to, deep dive on, the topics, are close to your heart, value-driven leadership, lifelong learning, diversity and inclusion. But before we go more into that, can you maybe tell our audience a little bit more about yourself, where you come from, what you're doing, and what you're doing currently at Salesforce?
Okay, well, hello, listeners. Happy to introduce myself. My name is Carmina Coenen. I am leading the ecosystem, the talent ecosystem here at Salesforce since January 2022. And when you're asking me where do you come from, well, originally I'm coming from the eastern side of Belgium, so from Limburg. And I grew up there, and I moved towards Brussels because I wanted to be closer to my work, to have less of a commute time. And in my career, I started off in the kind of a job that I was expected to do based on my studies, because I studied applied science economics with the specialization of finance. So I went into an accountancy job. But after about 2 years, I noticed that being in a closed environment where everything has to be done exactly how it's put into the accountancy rules, I thought that it wasn't meant to be for me. So I started looking, and I got into a role at Oracle, where I was training project management teams on the financial suite of Oracle. And that really helped me, or gave me the opportunity to be instead of a crowd of a few people, doing a teaching role, which was kind of more used to be a role for women. I was then as well in a team of a lot of women, female teachers. And I really enjoyed being in front of people, helping them, making sure that they got all the information they needed to make their implementation of the system very well, so that they had good finance solutions up and running. But after a year or 2, 3, I thought, I can do something else. And so internally, I was asking around what are the options. And so I went into solution engineering, pre-sales, sales consultant. It has a lot of names that you can give to someone who is there to listen to their needs of the customers and prospects, and to make then that transition into telling them a story about how the solution can solve their problems and how they can then better serve their customers. But at that time, it was around the year 99. It was for me a switch, because I left behind everything that was related to finance, to accountancy, and I moved into customer relationship management. I still remember the day that I was trying to get a grip on the 3-letter word, the acronym of CRM. It was something so different than accountancy on ledgers and debits and credits,
Right.
that it took me a while to get into that thinking of what is customer relationship management? Why should you even care as an accountant?
Really?
You
Yeah.
fall away from customers. But yeah, I got the time to really to make a change in my career, continuing as solution engineer, and then really got into business intelligence, reporting, the marketing parts of CRM. But it was really an enjoyable time because I learned to engage with customers. I learned to start listening and to present. And then I won the lottery ticket in the year 2010 when I got my contract with Salesforce. And I got into the real stuff, of course, of customer relationship management, into driving the success of all our presentations and engagements, helping our account executives and salespeople to become successful, and steadily growing into management, into leadership. And now I've taken on the new challenge.
Yeah, the
So,
new challenge.
so
You have to
here by
tell
this, so first, before we go to the new challenge, if you see your whole career, you spent the majority of your career in tech. Was that a deliberate choice to stay in tech?
It would be very nice to say yes, but honestly, no. It wasn't a deliberate choice. Even when I was young, everything that had to do with tech, from the computers, what you can call them at those days, the camera devices, that was like no, not interested. But making the switch to tech was thanks to the fact that I could be teaching a group of people, being a trainer. And then that gave me each time a little step to move more into tech. Teaching about the software, the looking behind the scene, setting fields on and off so that the front end would make a difference for the project teams and their customers. So I grew into tech. And I think what helped me staying in tech was, of course, there was a lot of things, but I was also, when I was when I was 7 years old, at those days the schools changed from, or the school at least where I was in the city where I was living, we used to have a school, boys and girls separate, but in 79 my school became a mixed school. And I see you like looking like, what? Did that exist? Well, yes. When I was young, it was separate, but then when I was 7 years old, we got together. So what it gave me was an environment of being 5 years at the age of 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 in a school with boys and only 2 girls. So I became also more used to working with men, working with boys. I would say my masculine energy really improved. It got up, it increased. And that has also created for me characteristics that allowed me to enjoy the days in tech and not really being aware that at those days at the start when I started was like a male dominated environment. And again, I chose the entry point of being a teacher, which is more a feminine or a role for women. But I grew then into solution engineering, where there, of course, are less women and more into tech. But it's a fun environment to be in.
Interesting. So now tell us more about what you currently do at Salesforce, because now you're Director International Program Digital Skills. So I think there we see already a link with the lifelong learning, but I would love to hear it from you.
Yeah, lifelong learning is one of my hashtags on my LinkedIn profile. And because I do believe that when I look at my children and they start complaining about school and they have to study and now is the exam times, I'm like, guys, you will have to learn your whole life. It will be in business, it will be in your
How do they react when you say that?
Yeah, they don't believe it. But they also tell me that, well, Mom, when you learn when you are working, you get paid for it. That's much better. And it's
That's true.
That is true.
They already see the value of money. That's important.
Yes, they do. So lifelong learning is indeed one of the things that I do care about a lot, because I experience it every day that if I want to stay in business, even after being already for over 20 years in a professional career, I still see that I need to grow and learn every day. What the team is about, what we want to do is that we want to create a much bigger interest amongst people to join the world of digital. There is an IDC report that is projecting the growth for Salesforce, saying that we're going to have in the entire North region, the North region that I'm responsible for, so Belgium, Netherlands, Denmark, Finland, Sweden, Norway, is that there's going to be like 242,000 jobs in that region. It's going to be about 19,000 in Belgium.
Salesforce jobs.
Salesforce
Or linked to the Salesforce technology. Right.
Indeed, related to the Salesforce technology, not within Salesforce as a company itself, but within our ecosystem. So any company, being it an implementation partner, being it an independent software vendor, being it a customer, being it a university that is going to set up a digital curriculum. So anything, any kind of job related to Salesforce. And that is huge.
Yes.
And that's a big challenge, for which that we have created a business case. And so in January, internally, we decided that we need to help our ecosystem, that we need to help our customers, to make sure that we have long-term growth opportunities as well for Salesforce as for our customers. This is one of the things, one of the programs that we need to focus on. We have a lot of local initiatives, and now we need to create from these local initiatives sustainable initiatives that can be adopted in all these countries, and that is one part of what I'm going to do within my new role.
Is that something new within Salesforce? Because you talk about the projection from IDC, if I'm not mistaken. Is that something that came out of as a result of their projections, or has it always been there?
It hasn't always been there as a focus group or as a team. The initiatives have always been there. We have always in my industry, and it's not only for Salesforce, it's also for my other colleagues who are in the same industry, that we get these projections that we have to, well, we are challenged by the fact that we need a lot of resources in the near future and in the future to support the growth as our company is growing significantly in worldwide, but also in Belgium. The team is new for the region. There is a team similar to my team in the central region, so Germany and Switzerland and Austria, but it's for us, it's new. And normally when you are working in a US-based company, well, we are headquartered in San Francisco,
right.
We are most of the time seeing a lot of things flying in from the US into the mainland, into Europe, into Belgium. So we can leverage their great minds and we can start doing or continue doing what they have started. But now this is different. This is where we see that in Europe we have to give more focus. And where we are seeing that the team in Germany has, who is now, it exists already for over years, that they are creating successes with this team, that we have thought, well, is there really a business case to do this as well in the northern region? And then when you start looking at what is needed, what kind of skills are needed to lead such an organization, and what kind of people do we have within the organization, then of course with my hashtag lifelong learning and my ambitions or my passion, my drive on diversity and inclusion, the fact that I have been in the company already for over 11 years, leading the solution engineering region in Belgium and Luxembourg, well, I dove into it together with my management. And so we have created this vision, we have created this strategy, and now we are creating a team so that we can start making big moves, can start scaling in our setup.
And a huge impact by doing that. I love that. So tell me a little bit more about your vision towards lifelong learning. And maybe a first question I have regarding that is lifelong learning. I I'm a big believer of that, but sometimes I have a difficulty knowing what I have to learn right now. What is, how do you prioritize? Because I have, and I'm speaking personally, but I have so many interests. Sometimes I see a book about, leadership and I want to read about that, but then I see a book about marketing, really technical, how I can implement it immediately in my business. So I think maybe I should read that instead. So for me, it's kind of difficult to, balance what I should learn and what not, or how I should, put it in a timeline. So how do you go and handle that?
Yeah, so lifelong learning for me is every day making a step, and not stopping to learn. It can be learning based on tech skills. Indeed, like you can read on what are the new trends within digitalization and marketing. It can be soft skills about leadership. There's a lot of things that you can learn. And that's also the great thing, but it of course has also the other side, that how do I know what I want to learn? And I think it's about also, where do you want to go? You need to know where you want to be in 3, 4, 5 years from now. You might even want to think about where you want to be in 10 years from now. And then making a plan. What we do at Salesforce is every year we make our plan. It's called the vision, V2MOM. So vision, it's about our values. It's about what are going to be the methods and how we're going to measure it and what is going to hold us back. What are the obstacles? And that's what we do every day. Every employee at Salesforce does it. And we are encouraged to also create our personal V2MOM. To create a V2MOM of what do you want to be as a family? What do you want to be as a person? What do you want to be as a friend? And to have your personal V2MOM. And when you start thinking about your own path, you will come across trainings, come across experiences that will help you towards that goal. But as long as you don't know where you want to go to, what is your direction, then every day there's digital marketing, so we can throw a lot of stuff to you. And it's depending on what sites you're visiting. It can depend on what kind of an identity that you leave behind on of course, your laptop, that organizations will be able to better target you. But there is a lot, and it's really about knowing what you want to achieve. And it's also about accepting the fact that there is no wrong choice. Even if you would learn today about the marketing part and you would not do the leader part, you're already acting as a leader for yourself. So you're learning. If you're listening to podcasts, which you might do just on the way to your supermarket or to your work, you are learning. So all these things about our learning, it's not, for me, it's becoming less and less important to have that paper A4 format, which says attended the course, got a grade 8 or 9 out of 10. It's also about the attitude. The attitude, I think, is super important. So if you show the willingness to listen to podcasts, to read a blog article, and to really do that from out of a curiosity, then you are learning, and then you are making progress towards a goal. But it's really about what's your goal. The richness of the times that we are in is that there are so many things that we can do, we can achieve. There is this war of talent. There are so many job opportunities that are going to be created. So for a person, to find a job, it's not like in my days, when I started to look for a job in the mid-90s, for me it was like, it was stressful because there weren't a lot of jobs out there. So it was like...
Times have changed.
Yeah, this has changed. Now we are saying as Salesforce, look, there's going to be 242,000 new jobs in the year 2026. So you as young people, why worry? There's a lot that we can choose from. The ones that have to worry are the HR managers, the recruiters, the companies, because we as a company, and we have to attract the talent. And that's what I have to do in my new challenge at Salesforce. I have to make sure that whoever is listening, whoever has a choice, that they're looking at us, that they see the company that we are. And that's where every company is going to have to think as well as at what is our goal? Where do we want to be as a company? What's the why behind the company, that, and how are we going to spread that why? How are we going to make it visible to the talents out there? Because they are going to choose. They're going to choose a company based on what are they doing for the net zero? What are they doing for climate change? What are they doing for inclusion? And if you as a company have that really clear in your mission statement on your website, well, you're going to be lucky. That's the first thing that I'm looking at. If I'm meeting a customer, new customer, I'm going on their website, and then I'm seeing those pictures of the board, these men in gray suits, gray hair, and I'm like, oh my God, what kind of a company is that? There's no
Right.
diversity, there's no representation of society. And sorry, but then I have already made my decision, never going to join a company like that. And I am currently not interested in going to another company, but it's just a reflection that I have. And when
And
I look,
especially when you have that war for talent, where competition is on fire as an employer, you have to,
exactly,
yeah.
yeah. So that's the biggest advice for anyone who is starting a company, who is a CEO of a company, who is a part of a board in a company, is like, think about what kind of talent you want to attract, and think about how can you still attract that talent that is now becoming more and more conscious about those values like sustainability, inclusion. How are you going to hire them? Because if you want to continue hiring the people that you are hiring, it's going to be a tough job.
And
Yeah.
you told us that you started in tech, like in the beginning years, and it wasn't diverse at all. How do you see the diversity changing right now in tech? Is it in really going faster and faster, the change? Or is it still difficult for the whole organization to move towards an equal organization?
What I see I see an evolvement. And when I started in Salesforce in 2010, it was a rather male-dominated environment. I could fit well in there because I wasn't really aware. I had this background from Oracle. I had the background from in my younger years at school. I was always in a male-dominated environment. What helped me to also become more aware of this is role models. I went to Dreamforce in San Francisco, and there was this gathering of women, only women. And I thought, that can be interesting, the first evening before the event starts. So let me just go there just to fill my time evening, what you have to do in San Francisco. But it was such an eye-opener. You had 6 women sitting in front talking about their careers. And that was the first day that I was like aware of the concept of role models. That when you as a woman, you speak up and you show others what you are achieving. Also, of course, it's a bumpy road. I'm not successful every day. But if you are authentic and if you are passionate and if you show up vulnerability and you are willing to talk about your career, others will be inspired. And then the climate will change, the culture will change within an organization. And I've seen impact in Salesforce. I've seen locally in Belgium, because in 2014, after I went to that conference, I came back and I thought, the first event that we're going to have at Salesforce, I'm going to start printing flyers. I'm going to put up Salesforce Women Network Belgium. I've put them up all in the toilet rooms of the women. And so I made a start together with the 1 or 2 other women that were there then at those days in Salesforce. But it was a start. And now we have 2 fantastic female leaders leading the Salesforce Women Network in Belgium, who are co-leading this.
Awesome.
And the Salesforce Women Network events is a given now on our big marketing events. And the great thing of when you're asking about evolution, is that when in 2014 I was like, oh no, I have to support women. We're going to allow women. We got some objections as well. We created a non-inclusive environment. So a few years later, we opened up these inspirational talks for men as well, being aware that if you want to make a change, you need to be inclusive. You need to also get the sponsor, get leadership involved that will help you drive that change. So that's where we are now, the Salesforce Women Network, but we welcome all our allies, because you can be a man, but you might be a father, you have a daughter, you might have a sister, and of course inclusiveness, from what I started in 2013, was really based on gender. It's of course much more than that. It's also about the backgrounds. What have you studied? What haven't you studied? It's about where you come from. Everything. It can be just
Age.
any
Yeah.
aspect that gives you a feeling of not belonging. And it's that awareness that we need to create a feeling of belonging for everyone, because when you're mirroring your society, then you are mirroring your customers, because that's society. We as women, there are more women in the world, if you are ignoring India and China, than there are men. There are a lot of women. There are a lot of. So it's different for China and India. But if you take out those two, there are more women than there are men. So I don't want to scare you both, or even the male listeners, but that's the truth. The only thing is that when you come to the business professional world, it's different, and it's influencing the young female students with acting as a role model. I'm a mother. I have 2 kids. At the time I gave birth to my children, and I was challenged with how am I going to manage this. It's not easy having small children, and as women who have had maybe a fantastic curriculum, have studied amazing stuff, might then tend to just give up, might then tend to just take care of the kids. And I know you are so filled with emotions, and that this is what you think you need to do or what you want to do. But it's possible to balance. It's possible to be in a marriage where you can jointly both together get some support. Yes, I've put my children into daycare from the morning till 6 or 7 o'clock in the evening. And I wasn't there when they went to school on Wednesday at lunchtime to pick them up. But I found solutions. I am not in the ability to clean my house myself.
And what
Yes.
would be an advice of yours to, woman that was in the same situation as yours? Because you said something as, being a role model. Do people need to find their role model in some way, or, where can they find their inspiration or, solution to problem they are not per se aware of, or you know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's why, of course, as I'm speaking to the students, there's a lot of organizations already in, as you can see, I'm going to speak next week to the Academics for Companies student organization of Leuven, where they have their yearly event. It's going to be 250 people, mainly women and a few men. So that's where I'm going to talk about that, so that they know that even if they have their first baby, I know daycare costs a lot of money, and I know a cleaning lady costs you money, but it's an investment, and that's how you have to look at it. It's an investment in your own career, so that you can continue working. Or even if you think, okay, I'm going to step outside of professional life for a couple of years, then there are organizations in the UK. It's called Supermoms. It's back to work communities. So there are a lot of communities that can help you as women then to get back into your work environments, to start learning. Even if you are at home, you can use online learning platforms like we are offering to anyone. It's called Trailhead. So anyone can use it, but it's finding your role model. You will come across your role models. I think there are today already a lot of role models, but we need to have also there a diverse set of role models, because you can have the CEO of the year, and you can have the CIO of the year, and you might think, oh, I will never be a CEO. I am never going to be a CIO. So it's not interesting for me. She's not a role model. But there are role models at every level in our day-to-day living that you will find them. You only have to, of course, be curious about it, and you have to be intrigued by it. It's the people that are not jumping on this podcast or any other podcast are the people that will be harder to reach, and they are lacking the curiosity, they are lacking the eagerness to
All
learn.
right.
And how do
Lifelong learning.
you install like the mindset of continuous learning with people? Because you just said it, there are people that are just not doing it. So how can you implement it in people, or can make them aware at least that they should do it?
Well, I think that when we start with the people who are willing to do it, and when we can get to those people and they can start inspiring others. So it's not, it's like when what I want to do with my talent ecosystem is to put the spotlights on the people that have found a career, being a refugee, for example. A refugee learning about Salesforce and finding a career within Salesforce. I can talk about that person, but the most powerful step is when that person speaks up, is when I know that person and I can put a spotlight on that person, because that person is something the other people can relate to. They will not relate to me, but they can relate to that person who is a refugee and can hear her story about the background, where they came from, the challenges that they have had. And I can tell you, they have had real challenges of fear and maybe not surviving and not having anything to eat or a place to sleep. It's those people, they have built up a resilience and a mindset of persistence that shows that learning is a way forward for them. They have found a way to get out of the situation they were in, and now they have the opportunity to have a life, to also give some comfort to their children. And it's finding those inspirational people. For me, those are the role models, and that's part of the role that I'm going to take on, is finding them and giving them a trustful environment where they can speak about what they're doing, and also helping them to understand the lessons learned and what they want to achieve next.
I really love what you do there, because I have sometimes also the feeling that people just hold limiting beliefs over themselves, that because they are from somewhere else, it's just normal. And sometimes you just need to educate and inspire them and show them there is another reality that is there, and people and organizations are willing to invest to make that happen as well. So it's I love what you do there.
Yeah, it's about mentors, it's about coaching, it's about role models, and we all are role models, and we all can be mentors. And Dylan, when you were asking me like, should I follow this course or that course? Lifelong learning is also about, if you step into a role as a mentor and helping others to learn about tech. It can be at an elderly home where you help people to go on Google Meets and Google Zooms. That's going to be a learning experience for you, because you will learn to gain patience. You will learn to better articulate the message to come across to those people, so your communication skills will go up. So every day you will have a learning opportunity and a learning experience.
That's what you mean. It's not about having a certificate at the end, but it's about just being there, having the attitude towards lifelong learning.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit more maybe about, because another hashtag of yours on LinkedIn is value-driven leadership. So what is that about? What does that mean to you, value-driven leadership?
Of course, value-driven leadership, where the inspiration comes from, is because of the company I work for. And within our company, we had till last year 4 values. And those 4 values we have had we are existing now for 23 years. So it's about trust, it's about customer success, it's about innovation, and it's about equality. And those 4 values are put on our corporate slide deck. We start with them when we are presenting to customers. So we don't start with, here, look at our amazing set of products. We can help you solve your problem. No, it's about who we are as a company and what we want to achieve as a company.
Interesting.
And when I was in that company, I saw it in the presentation, and I started to think about it as well for who I am, and the way that how I want to act as a leader. And I must say that tech hasn't been there as a passion, where I wasn't born like that. And I wasn't born to be working in a male-dominated environment. I grew into it. staying at Salesforce is thanks to those values. It's thanks to the fact that we are focusing on equality and are looking into trustful relationships. We added this year sustainability. It's everything related to climate change, because we, as a company, over the years, we've also made impact on our environment. And we see our company as a platform where we can be a business for doing good and doing well. And the translation of having those values is when I started to look into me, like, how do I want to act as a leader? I want to act as an authentic leader. You know, I am who I am, with my self-limiting beliefs, with my unconscious biases, with the background that I have, with my feminine side, but also my masculine side that has developed over the years. And I want to really be myself when I'm leading a team, and grow, of course, in that authenticity that I have. And that is using the strengths that women have as a leader, active listening. It's about showing vulnerability, and leading with passion, leading with an idea of inspiring others, and leading as a coach, which for me means that I am not going to give the solution to others. I am going to ask questions so that they can find a road to their solution. Not my solution, but to their solution. As long as we can get Rome built, it's fine. How we build it, it doesn't matter for me. But I know that when you have people finding their solution, you have a much bigger buy-in than when you impose your solution. And I can say, okay, my teammate, I'm working 10 years at Salesforce. This is how you should do it, because I've done it this way in 2011, and I've done this in 2012. For me,
I would hate that.
Yes, some people might love it, but I would say I don't like it. So I am also not leading in that way. And that's what leaders should look into. How can we better listen to the people? And we've seen what's happening when 2 years ago, when Corona started. We suddenly moved from in office to in bedrooms, in living rooms, in kitchens, in gardens. We were confronted with people that were uncertain, worried because they saw the news, worried because maybe they had someone in a home, their parents, their grandparents. So there was a lot of anxiety, a lot of fear, a lot of concerns in those days. And as a leader, it was very important, not only as a people manager, but also in the way that you were doing business, that you were started to build up that personal connection with the people that you were talking to. Asking the leaders, like, how are you doing?
Is leadership to you more an art or a science? Is it something, that can you follow a process? Like you say, you have to ask question and, make the people come with the answers themselves so that they have an easier buy-in, and by that you also kind of lead them towards, a better self for them. That would be kind of the science part, but is it maybe also more just follow your instinct?
I think it's a good combination. It's a combination in the sense that I can read a book on leadership, and I will find some ingredients that will stick with me, and that I'm going to try out and I'm going to play with. And I am who I am. You cannot change my leadership overnight, and I can't change it overnight just by reading a book. So it's a combination, because I also manage with intuition. I manage with my gut feeling, but I also manage by looking at the data. Where are we? 242,000 new jobs. But where are we now? Whew, that's a big of a challenge. And it's also leading by facts that my LinkedIn hasn't given me yet 1 million likes on my post. So I will need to lead in a way where I can help others to lead in this context. So there's a combination of science, like this is how you can lead. And there's also, of course, a combination where you bring in the whole person who you are, and you start leading in the way that you bring yourself.
Mm-hmm.
I I'm never going to treat someone else less because of the position that I have. I will always be myself, whether you meet me in the supermarket or whether you meet me on a keynote with a lot of people. I am myself, and others
But
lead
that's
also in their
not
own way.
everyone is like that, right? You have a lot of leaders that, because of a title or something, or is that just a misconception I might have?
Well, those people are leading in the way in who they are, in what's important to them, and I would advise every leader to engage with a coach. Doesn't know have to know the subject that you are managing or running, which kind of businesses that you have, whether it's in chemistry or in manufacturing or in hospitality or in life science, but really to challenge your way of thinking. Because when you have a coach in your life, that person can really help you grow. But the first step is, of course, the person has to start think differently.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you would want to be that kind of a authentic, passionate, vulnerable leader, your company that you are in needs to allow it. You can try and make a change in a company, and if you get that change done, it's really, really good. But if the top management, the board, it has no ears for a different change in leadership style, they will have to find it out the hard way. It means people will be leaving. That great leadership style will find its way to maybe your competition or to another company. You will start losing customers. You will not be able to find the talent that you really want to stay in business and grow into business. So that's where, yeah, it's important that the companies are accepting a change in leadership style, and we have we have had to go through a corona for a lot of companies, a lot of leaders to allow remote working. Where I had friends, they never thought, they were so jealous, me working remotely from time to time. They never thought they could work, they were allowed to work remotely. And now they're working remotely. So this has put a lot of
Challenge the way of thinking.
it has put a lot of pressure on the leaders. And unfortunately, we had to have a disease like a corona, a virus like corona, to enforce it. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that it changed a lot in the mindset of the leaders. And now we're moving into a hybrid mode. So we're again challenged as leaders, like what's the best way in a hybrid mode? So it's again a learning experience where our leadership in the basics, it will stay the same. It's about
Mm-hmm.
making sure that you have the team, you have the people, you have your customers all thinking in the same direction, and aligning them with your strategy. But at the other time, it's also about us as leaders becoming agile, becoming more flexible, knowing that whatever that we're going to write in stone today might have to change because for whatever thing is happening in the world, that we also then as a leader needs to, yeah, make a response to, and change a little bit in our leadership style.
And
Right.
if you look at your own style, you say correctly you can't change it in a day. But did your own styles change a lot over the years? And if it did, and other leaders know they want to change, how can they change? So it's a bit of a double-loaded question, but yeah.
Well, my leadership definite style has definitely changed, because you become a manager. So when you first an employee and you become a manager, it's a bit of a learning curve. You know what kind of a manager you are still thinking of in a good sense, and what kind of manager you've had in your career where you think of, oh no, I don't want to be that person. So let's hope I'm not going to be that person. So when you then are going to make like a little bit of a guidance for yourself, these are the traits, these are the way of behavior that I liked, and this is what I don't like. Then you use that as your North Star. This is the way that you're going to lead. And during your years as a manager, and as a leader, you get you look into seminars, you look at TEDx shows, you listen to podcasts where you hear from other people things where you become more aware of different leadership styles, but also on the how the brain is reacting to stressful situations. So everything that has to do with more resilience and persistence, and how you can really become more in an active listening mindset is something that I am learning. I'm still learning every day, and I'm still sometimes like, "Ah, why didn't I ask that question? Why did I rush into where are we going to instead of asking the first, how are you doing? What's top of mind? How are you feeling? Are you feeling red, orange, green? Just building up that connection. So I'm still sometimes making mistakes, but that's okay. And that's what I tell the teams as well. It's okay to make mistakes as long as you reflect on them and learn from them. And you then become that version 2, version 3. And now I'm going to learn leading a team that is from Northern Europe. I know what it is to have number of holidays and which public holidays there are. So I know for leading leading Belgian people in Belgium, human HR aspects, I know them. But I have no idea what it means for Denmark or for Netherlands. It's going to be different. And I am just
Be a
going to be
challenge.
vulnerable, like, help me out here. Who can help me out? So asking for help and asking for support is what is going to help me in the next months, in the next year on leading the new team.
I have a question for you. Because as a, we always use the term leader, but for me, the leader has, 3 core activities. He first has to manage the organization, look at the data, where are we right now. He has to be an enabler and, looking at his team, how can they grow personally? Because if they grow, they will grow. I mean, the organization will grow as a consequence of that. But then the third one is also literally lead the organization towards a future state that isn't there yet. So you have to kind of be of an inspiration and a motivator to the team, but also someone that can see the future as it's not there yet. So how is that, being present in your life?
It is present in my current role, and it was present in my previous role. Life, you will never know what's coming in life, and now my vision, of course, is to really be able to help a lot of people finding a job within technology, in digital, because that's what is. I want to give everyone a chance, and I want to create curiosity amongst people to look into what's digital. How do I connect already with digital today? And that's the vision that I have, is to one day work together even with the competition, because the digital skills gap is it's a global problem. It's a national problem in Belgium. It is in the other countries. It's not only my problem or Salesforce problem. And other industries are as well are challenged with the fact that there are going to be a lot of new roles created. So it would be amazing if we could work together and really unite forces to help people getting more skills, having more access to these learning environments, feeling the motivation and the passion, and really helping everyone in Belgium to get on that path and to create stronger families, fathers and mothers, and even singles, whoever, don't have to be married or don't have to have children, anyone in the world, because this is it's a global challenge that we have. It's a luxury challenge. But when I started being a mom, I never knew what it was going to be at my age today, having teenagers. I never thought about it. I thought it was going to be easy because I was an easy child. Just just joking. But take everything we need to take it step by step. I once was told by the CIO of Coca-Cola in also one of those sessions, when she was having a tough time being out on a different side of the world towards her husband. Her husband was still here in Belgium, and she was panicking. There was so much work to do, and she said, her husband then gave her the advice like, look, eat the elephant piece by piece. And that's an advice that I am taking every day, eating the elephant piece by piece, because I can only get a number of things done. I can only encourage other people to do something, but eat the elephant piece by piece, because that is if you keep on going, that's the best thing. That's already something you have to be proud of. Keep on going, don't stop. Look back a little bit, but not too long. Look forward, and just hold on to the thought of, one day I want to see my team being awarded as really a team that has made a change in closing the digital skills gap. And so that I can look at them and say like, wow, you have really, really changed the lives of so many people in our region. We couldn't have done it without you. And I want them to be the role models for anyone in Salesforce, anyone outside of Salesforce in our ecosystem, but also inspire the customers of our competitors, inspire the customers of our customers. That's the only way forward. I will not be able to do it on my own. If I would stay in a silo, I can only do it by having a lot of passionate, vulnerable, driven people who use the same hashtag as me, or who even better would have their own hashtag, something that would drive them in whatever that they're doing when they get up until when they go to sleep.
Carmina, you are a real inspiration. I even got goosebumps, so just to tell you that. Carmina, thank you for your participation to this podcast. I think it was something new for us, for Martin as me, as right now we had a lot about sales and sales leadership, sales management, and we didn't deep dive into to the leadership and the leader as you are, because at the end, diversity and inclusion and lifelong learning, I think it just it should be part of a value-driven leader. So I thought it was very inspirational. Can you tell me, Carmina, if people want to talk about you, about anything you told us today, where can they reach you?
Well, they can reach me on LinkedIn. They first have to start liking my post, because I need 1 million likes. I'm far behind.
The audacious goals from a leader. That's what I love.
But no, just reach me on LinkedIn, send me a message, email me. My email address is double C, because it's Carmina Coenen, so it's CCOENEN @salesforce.com. There's tons of ways on how you can reach me, and if I don't respond immediately, it might be because I am slacking on my digital HQ. So be persistent and tell me why I should reach out and come back to the people, what they want to achieve.
All right. Martin.
And I think we are now at the last question of the podcast. It's always we end every podcast with this question. So Carmina, if Carmina were a brand, where would it stand for?
Say that again, Martin. If Carmina
were a brand, where would it stand for?
I would say my brand is role model. Role model in helping others.
I love that. All right. Well, with that comes the end of the podcast. Thank you, Carmina, for being on the show, and I wish you a lot of good luck.
Thank you, Martin and Dylan. A lot of good luck as well. And to the listeners, you're all leaders, you're all coaches, you're all mentors. Just find that little piece that has not yet been activated within yourself and join our community.